Oh, hey, what's going on, guys? So there's going to be some times in your life where no matter what you do, no matter how you navigate a situation, no matter how you explain something to somebody else, it's going to not make sense. And God has you exactly where he wants you to be. And I'll give you an example. Jesus, when he died and rose again, during those 3 days, it just didn't make sense to anybody living in that moment. You could have told and foretold what's going to happen. You could have said, hey, this is what I have to go through. And because it didn't happen before, nobody really got what it means for him to have had a blood atonement sacrifice, for him to die and rise again. In that moment, when he was away and he was gone, people couldn't explain it. They couldn't understand it. They tried to, but it just didn't make sense in that moment. And until he rose again, until people saw him, until Thomas touched his hands, until everything else had come to pass and it, in hindsight, made sense, it clicked. In that moment, it didn't make sense. And those moments are going to happen for you in your life, whether it's some personal moment where you're struggling and going through something, and no matter how you explain it to somebody, it just doesn't make sense. I've heard of a person who they did everything right. They were ethical at their business and in their workplace, but they got fired. They got fired from their job. And turns out months later, God was protecting him early because later on he didn't act unethically, and the other executives and other business people around them were arrested and charged with, whatever it was that they were charged for. But the Lord was protecting him early by firing him, and his family and I'm sure his friends, they were wondering, why did you get fired? Did you do something wrong? Did you not perform well? Is there something we don't really understand? You might be a lazy worker, whatever. And everybody can make an explanation. They can look at it. They can look at your situation and try to write it off. Same thing is going with me and many of the other prophetic voices. It doesn't make sense right now. You said this happened, whatever, something else is happening, blah, blah, blah. Everything and anything, when you're going through something, and it's in sparse moments of your life, you could be going through something, you don't even know how to explain it. You don't even know what it is and why that God is putting you through that circumstance, but you believe and you know with all your heart that you are where you have to be. You know that you've been leaning in with the Lord, into the Lord. You've been faithful and you've been seeking him and asking him, Lord, I want to just do the right thing. I know I'm flawed in many ways. I know there's sin. I know there's human, fallacy and all this stuff, but I know I'm where I'm supposed to be and I'm doing my best to live for you. And you will have those moments where you believe you are supposed to be where you are, but it just doesn't make sense situationally. It doesn't make sense when you explain it to somebody, when you try to conjure up what the possible reasonings could be. It just doesn't make sense. And for Jesus, though I'm sure he was aware, for other people, even the smartest dudes, they couldn't make sense of that situation in that moment. He could have called a legion of angels to take him down from the cross. He could have just snapped his fingers and everyone would have dropped dead. He could have done something to save himself like Samson did, whatever it was, but it didn't happen. And people were wondering, man, what is going on right now? Why is it that my life is this way? Why is it that I got fired? Why is it that this person hurt me in this way? Why is it that I lost my money? Why is it that I did this and that? Whatever it is that you're going through, whether it's a suffering, whether it's a circumstance that you feel like it didn't go the way that you wanted it to go, whatever it is, God has a plan for you and God has a reason. He has a rhyme and a reason for all these things. And as long as you lean in, and as long as you know in your heart of hearts, in the peace that the Holy Spirit gives you that overwhelms you, you know you have to be and you are where you are, then all you've got to do is persevere, lean into him, stick with him, and allow Christ to walk you through that valley or through a cloud where you can't see in front of you. And if you do that, then things will work out for you. Things will pass for you. Things will make sense, whether it's here on earth or in heaven after people see your whole story. Whatever it is, it may not make sense ever to anybody fully because of the sheer amount of information, the explanation you got to give, and all these different things. And so don't be sitting there all worried. Jesus never stood there thinking, man, palpitating and sweating like, oh, on day 2, a lot of people are going to be concerned. And I don't know, like I'm still down here. I'm still, suffering and doing these things, but I don't know how to explain this. And he never panicked in a moment where he had to go through what he had to go through, but he never tried to explain it off. He never tried to go and make amends with this person or that person to try to rectify whatever it was that he had to go through, right? Same goes for all of us. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to try to make sense of it. You don't have to try to quickly get to a resolution. You don't have to do any of these things because God has you right where he wants you to be. And you just have to allow him to lead and to get you through that circumstance. It won't make sense fully to you. It definitely won't make sense to the people around you. And it's not reason or logic that can explain it sometimes. But in hindsight, people can see it, and even if they don't, it doesn't matter because it's between you and God what you have to go through and what needs to be done. And so God bless you guys. I hope this was encouraging to you, and I'll talk to you guys very soon.